So the way sensible people think is this: today must be better than yesterday, tomorrow must be better than today. The way these clowns think is that yesterday must be better than what yesterday actually was. Therefore, that's where they live. They tabernacle around stupidity and just be having arguments with themselves while drinking hero beer. Meanwhile, thank you very much for reminding me, 3 million people did not die in that war. There was no place where 3 million Igbo people died. The entire population of Igbo people during the war was 7 million people. 3 million Igbo people did not die. The entire population, and by the way, people who died, it's a terrible thing. I'd like to always preface it so it doesn't look like I'm just saying nobody died. People died. People suffered. It was unfortunate. It should never have happened. And we should talk about why it happened. It happened because of a man's ego. It happened because a man would just not listen to reason. Regardless of how many, do you know, I was reading a book yesterday. Let me finish that thought. Regardless of how many people went to him to talk to him, he just wouldn't listen. They sent a delegation from Commonwealth, from America, from Britain, from Yoruba. Six Yoruba kings went there. From all across Nigeria, all the regions gathered themselves, led by Awolowo, to talk to him on May 6, 1967. He still would not listen. I was just reading a book last night to see the plans that Martin Luther King actually had for Biafra, or for that situation before Biafra was declared. He was trying to get in before he was assassinated. I was like, really? Was that serious? Everybody was trying to help this guy. So the people who died, it's important to acknowledge that a lot of people died, and it was a terrible thing, and I wish it didn't happen. However, there were not 3 million. The entire population of Igbo people at the time of the war was 7 million. The entire eastern region was 12.4 million people. Ibos were 7, the other ones were 5.4. Some of the people that they even count to be 7 are now telling you that it was a mistake, that they were not even part of them. They were not Ibos. That's what they are saying now. Well, they've been saying that since 1970, to be fair. Because they saw when in the hands of the original guys in the hinterland. All the numbers about the war, and I've said several times, I've interviewed those who fought during that war. The most conservative, which we're not going to stay with, we're going to mention it, the most conservative number was 300,000 people. And that included Nigerian soldiers, Biafran soldiers, Igbo civilians, Nigerian civilians in the Midwest. By the way, Ibos killed a lot of Nigerian civilians in the Midwest, just like what happened in the terrible Asaba massacre. The eastern minorities that were killed by the Ibos, when you put everything together, the most conservative number is 300,000. The most liberal is 2 million, and that is all of them. There is no sensible human being that's ever written a book. I know there are some books, but they're not sensible. There's no sensible human being that ever wrote a book and said 3 million people died during the war. It's a lie. And the person who championed that thing was primarily Ojukwu. It's a propaganda tactic. Just keep repeating it. Number 2. Number 3. Why did they die? We're going to talk about it today. One of the major things that killed people during that war, beyond the bullets, was starvation. A lot of people died from starvation. So it wasn't just the bullet that killed people. So the question is, why should people die of starvation? Let me answer this question. Why did Gowon agree in Ghana and later change his mind? You've asked this question several times. Dabere, are you slow? I've answered this question before. Are you slow? Gowon did not reject the Aburi Accord. Gowon promulgated Decree number 8 on 17th March 1967. That decree, according to the Secretary of the Eastern Regions Military Government, N.U. Akpan, that decree was 95% of what they wanted at Aburi. According to Ojukwu's own personal secretary, his private secretary's name is Don Egwe. He said that decree number 8 was 98% of what they asked for in Aburi. The only thing that they didn't give to your Oga was secession. He wanted to have separate countries. Each region should be different countries, but they are also going to have dual citizenship. Therefore, it makes no sense for you to expect the president of a country to allow you to go and still let you remain. In other words, you are not Nigerian, but you are Nigerian. So you are Biafran Nigerian. It's literally in the document we read the other day. Dual citizenship. You want to break out of the zoo, but you want to be a citizen of the zoo. Why being a citizen of whatever it is of your Zazu? You are a Zazu zoo, essentially. Dual citizens. That kind of nonsense is, by the way, if you want to really get to the depth of this thing, please watch the video on YouTube. The video is called How Ojukwu Rejected Aburi. It's on the YouTube channel, Busui Oris. How Ojukwu Rejected Aburi. How do you walk away from 95% of what you asked for? How do you walk away from 98%? By the way, the one by the 95%, you'll find it in the book by N.U. Akpan. It's called The Struggle for Secession. The 98% claim, you find it in the book by Hilary Njoku, who was the head of Biafra military. The book is called A Tragedy Without Heroes. If people from the East, insiders are telling you what happened and how your guy scattered everything, and you are still blaming Gowon, do you not know that your guy lied to you, and that even right now, 50 plus years after the fact, you still do not know the truth? Because instead of reading books or let's gather together and share and study together, you prefer to be drinking hero beer inside beer parlor, talking nonsense.